Excellent. I think we're live in our next webinar series. Welcome everyone to our next webinar explaining what functionality you can add to your existing Sage software. And today we are looking at introducing AP automation from a solution partner called Yooz. So welcome everyone. I think we've got a few people joining us today, which is good. And just to let everyone know, we're looking to take about 30 minutes in this session to look at Yooz a bit further and how it can help you in your businesses. And we certainly would probably aim to take questions at the end. So please feel free to put those in the chat and we can answer those at our Q&A session at the end. We've certainly seen a lot of interest in Yooz recently, and there's a lot of excitement in the purchase invoice automation side of the solution. And it's great that we've got Chelsea here to talk us through the solution with a demonstration and a bit more besides. So I'm now going to hand over to Chelsea, who's got a great session lined up for us. Here's Chelsea, over to you.
Hi, Jeremy. Thank you guys so much for inviting me on today's webinar. I'm really excited as I'm working with a lot of different companies, a lot of different teams looking for adapted strategies to implement into their AP and P2P process. So our focus today is really to help you how you can beat the competition through reducing internal costs, reducing a lot of errors that pop up throughout the process, and saving a lot of time. So let's go into today's agenda. First up, we're going to give you a quick introduction to Yooz, so you know a little bit about who we are and what we do. Then we're going to talk a little bit more about the risks of handling our payables with a manual process. After this, we're going to look to see how Yooz automates the entire P2P process, and then I'm going to show you how Yooz connects with your Sage X3 and Intact solutions. At the end, I'm really excited to go into a live demonstration of the platform so you can see exactly how it works. And like Jeremy said, we're going to leave a couple minutes at the end for a live Q&A session. So feel free, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, to write those into the chat. So let's start off with this quick introduction of our company, Yooz, and our solution, which was created 14 years ago now, back in 2010. The purpose was really to be able to provide any company with a solution that's really flexible, simple to set up, and easy to implement. So just to give you some key numbers about Yooz, since our creation, we've been growing about 40% each year. We now have over 30 languages spoken and nationalities represented throughout our global teams. We now serve more than 5,000 clients over 40 different countries. And this represents more than 200,000 users and 200 million documents that have been processed through the platform. We're very passionately committed to technology and innovation here at Yooz, and that's why a quarter of our income each year is reinvested back into our research and development. Our scientists have published more than 100 different white papers and scientific publications, and they've developed very unique technologies that are available exclusively in Yooz. Now, here are a few of the clients that Yooz and X3 Consulting have worked on recently to get their AP automation projects started. And Yooz can actually adapt to any project to all companies using Sage X3 and Intact, which is really our focus today, but also all of the various different versions of Sage within the ERP family. And Yooz can adapt to any industry. So no matter the company's size, whether it be from nonprofits, governmental authorities, companies within the medical field, the hospitality field, companies within the tech world, the financial firms, and to cater to everyone, we actually have two different editions at Yooz: the business edition that focuses on companies that are processing their own documents, and the expert edition for financial firms that are processing their clients' documents. Now, the Yooz subscription, it's actually only based on the number of documents that are processed through the platform. And because there are no licenses in Yooz, you can actually build an unlimited number of users and an unlimited number of organizational units, entities, or companies within the platform. That's why a lot of accounting firms and large companies that have a multi-site organization use this tool to streamline their activity across multiple countries using different currencies and different languages, as well as SMEs, SMPs, even individual accountants and entrepreneurs that are processing maybe only about 50 to 100 documents per month and are growing. Yooz is a tool that's really easily able to grow with each company as you're expanding and opening up new entities. Now, this last slide here is just to show a little bit more about some other important aspects that we have here at Yooz. We work very closely with accounting firms, and now actually 9 out of 10 of the largest global accounting firms are using the tool. They provide us with a lot of valuable feedback that we take over the years, and we're consistently improving the solution, adding in new features and functionalities every couple of months. This is something that's free to all of our users. And we also have tons of other finance, accounting, and IT partners and associations that we're working with. We're working very closely with X3 Consulting, and we actually connect with over 250 different ERP solutions. Today, we're really focusing on X3 and Intact at Sage and how Yooz is able to adapt to these ERP systems, and the two tools are going to work seamlessly together. Next, let's focus quickly here about how Yooz can help you improve your current processing strategies by avoiding these top 6 manual accounts payable process pain points. And over the years, with the different partners, the different clients that we're working with, we were able to identify these biggest or top risks that companies can experience when they have a fully manual accounts payable or purchase to pay process. So without an automation solution, the overall time to process an invoice based on these results we've seen can be anywhere between 22 to 35 days to process an invoice manually. And this is mainly due to all of these different manual steps involved, like data entry, approvals, the payment process. This costs our company an initial amount, and that's not even taking into consideration those additional costs for archiving and for storage. Now, when doing everything manually, the process can end up being quite slow, resulting in about 31% of supplier payments that are made late. And of course, this can lead to additional penalties and unnecessary extra costs. Manual processes can also lead to this lack of traceability or visibility in the process. And we saw that this can result in 3.5% of invoices, including common errors or even accidental double payments. In the end, the whole process can end up being non-compliant, and you could even end up becoming a victim of fraud attempt, where 70% of businesses that responded were suffering from this point. So just to sum it up, there are quite a lot of risks involved when processing manually, using paper and things like Excel spreadsheets to track our financial processes. And it's really important. A lot of companies are becoming more aware of these risks today. So let's now switch gears. We're going to focus more on automation technologies and how companies can actually really easily move from a purely manual process to a process that's automated, really helping your team saving a lot of time, a lot of money, and also in general, really ensuring that our processes are much more secure. So let's take a look now at how Yooz works and how the system has really been broken down to be customized to the needs of each company's unique automation project. So in this diagram that you can see up on the board, Yooz is here to really dematerialize and automate the entire P2P process. Yooz offers each team a single all-in-one solution that's really user-friendly and easy to configure. So you can see different modules that are built. We've done it this way so that you can mix and match to automate the entire process or the part of the process that's the most important to your company. So starting from raising a purchase requisition or request, flowing through the automatic two-way and three-way matching. Then there's the automatic capturing of our documents via email or a number of different ways. Thanks to a combination of powerful OCR or optical character recognition and artificial intelligence technologies, creating what we call a smart data extraction. Then you can build different steps in your workflows, including a review step, multiple approval steps within these advanced workflows, and you can actually build as many different steps as you and your team need. With this built-in machine and deep learning process in Yooz, you can opt for Yooz to memorize your processes so you and your team can save time in the future, all the way to the setup of payment with a BAX file that can be created. And then once paid on your end, the automatic export of that information back into your Sage X3 or Intact solution. Now, keep in mind at the top, this is what all companies are really looking for today, which is to save as much time as possible. And you have this, what's called a no-touch process. This is there for all of those monthly reoccurring invoices like subscriptions, utility bills that Yooz can process for you with no human intervention needed. But for that small percentage of documents, let's say exceeding a certain amount or based on a rule that you can create, you maybe need multiple approvals in Yooz. So Yooz is also there to automate this process no matter where your team's located at any time, day or night, thanks to this cloud-based solution. Yooz can automatically also handle any reminders that you might need to set up, delegations for absences as well. And the system has native integration with Sage. So in our case today with Sage X3 and Intact, your information will be exported and seamlessly connected in real time. All right, let's go a little bit further since we're on the subject of technology. Let's take a little bit of a closer look into this real-time connection that we have between Yooz and Sage X3 and Intact. So just before jumping into the demonstration of Yooz, I just wanted to show you this diagram so you can really see and have a clear visual representation of this connection between the two tools. Yooz is going to pick up all of the necessary data from Sage Intact or from Sage X3, your different ERPs that you're working with, like purchase requests and orders, for instance, on vendor details as well. And at the top, you can see that flow of information. So at the beginning of the process, Yooz is going to sync in all of your master data from Sage X3 or Intact. If there's a new supplier, for example, that's created in your Sage platform, this is going to be reflected then in your Yooz system as well. This includes all of your master data elements like your nominal codes, your departments, cost centers, suppliers, and more. Also, we can sync in your purchase orders from Sage and your invoices and credit notes. This is going to be taking place automatically through what we call the omnichannel capture engine built into Yooz. And Yooz is going to automatically import your supplier invoices and documents automatically via email, but through a number of ways. The idea is that no matter how you're receiving your documents, Yooz is going to help to automate that process to the fullest. Then as soon as that document is brought into the system, these different technologies that we've been going over today in Yooz are going to work to your team's advantage. And this combination of unique technologies, not only using OCR to read the document, but we have AI algorithms called ANN or artificial neural networks that are acting like a human brain to understand this content that's coming in through your documents, process it in an intelligent way. And because this tool is not templates based, no matter where that information is found in your documents, you can then pick that up, send it into your customized workflows. Here on the diagram, you can see that popping up in pink. And through this real-time connection that we have between Yooz and Sage, finished documents will then be automatically popping up for you, ready to go in Sage X3 or Intact. And whether it be a non-PO-based or PO-based documents, you can set up customizable workflows to handle each one of these different scenarios, which we're going to see in just a moment. And for PO-based documents, they can take advantage of that automatic two-way and three-way matching in the Yooz system. Also, any purchase orders from Sage will be synced into Yooz. So Yooz is really helping you to add in these additional layers of powerful automation, helping to enhance the power that you already have within your Sage tool. Teams are seeing a big difference when it comes to adopting a tool like Yooz when it comes to automation and the automatic capturing of the documents, the automatic receipt, reconciliation, the recording of these orders and invoices, the dynamic workflows that you can customize. And in Yooz, you can even build customizable reports, for example, for invoices that are waiting to be paid, and you won't need to go back and forth between the tools to check in Sage. This exclusive connection will give you and your team a really powerful connector that you can see between the two tools at any moment throughout the day. All right, let's now log into Yooz so we can see the demonstration. What I'm going to do is I'll turn off my camera and I'm going to switch my screen so we can actually log into Yooz to see how this works live. First, we're going to take a look at a PO-based example and then a non-PO-based example. All right, I'm just going to switch my screen over and I'm going to log into my Yooz platform. When I log in, I'll have a secure platform. You can see when I log in with this padlock at the top of the screen. And today I'm logging into an example platform that I've set up. So of course, each time a team logs into Yooz, you're going to have the platform customized to your company's requirements, and you're going to see all of your documents and your information popping up in the system. Now, in the upper right-hand corner in Yooz, if I click onto my user profile, I have access to a help center where I can type in a question or a keyword in Yooz. And I also have tons of different articles so I can, for example, keep track of all of the new features coming into the Yooz system. I also have access to what's called the Yooz University, where we have live bi-monthly sessions where we talk about all these new features. It's a great opportunity for the whole entire Yooz community to get together, ask questions, and you also have tons of online trainings available where you can watch videos, download presentations, and get all of the access to these trainings as that you and your team will need. If I click into my profile, this is where I can set up delegations and I can set up my workspace how I like. I can also make it so that my entire company has the same theme. Or if I prefer, I can let each individual user choose their theme and set up their profile how they'd like. It's really up to each company how they'd like to customize the Yooz platform. All right, let's go on a quick tour of the Yooz system to process some documents. Let's start off at the very beginning of the process in our Capture tab, where we can first capture a document together. All right, let's just simply drag and drop a document here in my file upload area. Here's where I can select and create an unlimited number of entities or organizational units. And I have a long list in this drop down here of different types of documents that I can process and use. Now, of course, we're talking about automating the full purchase to pay process. So, of course, supplier invoices and documents, but you can also upload and digitally archive a number of different other types of documents. So this is great if you want to digitally archive documents across shared services, maybe even, for example, resumes or CVs from the HR department and many other different departments across your company. Because first we're going to be looking at a PO-based example, I can just simply select PO-based, and at the bottom I can add in additional information to this document if I needed to, even a highlight color so I can flag this document throughout the process. Now let's click import, and as soon as we do, this document is going to be instantly brought into the Yooz system. And we've set this up in a way that even someone who doesn't have a heavy IT or tech background can feel really comfortable navigating through this system. I can see that this document at the bottom is popping up in my imported files section, or I can see it's now currently in the using process. This combination of exclusive technologies that we're talking about before with the smart data extraction and AI algorithms are extracting every field off of this document for me and sending it off into my Yooz platform. This is taking place in the background to save your team a lot of time so they can really focus on other value added areas in the company. No more needing to sit back and individually type in these fields with that manual data entry. Now, no matter how your team is receiving your documents today, there's been a solution set up and used to cater to all companies, whether you're receiving your documents in physical paper documents. You can actually now stack them up in a large batch and send them into Yooz in a single document. And thanks to these artificial intelligence technologies, we have what's called the smart split suggestion to automatically split that batch of documents individually into invoices for you. Now, keep in mind, no matter how many pages your invoice has, Yooz is not counting your documents by file type or type of document or page number. Every document that comes in, even if your supplier invoice has multiple pages, it's counted as one document coming into Yooz. We can do cloud imports through APIs or through electronic document interchange or EDI. We can also set up an invoice collector. But the most popular way that companies are connecting today is through what's called the email capture. You can actually set up an unlimited number of emails, one based on each department or each company, each entity, and you can create customizable rules that your project manager is going to set up for you in Yooz. Now, this process is happening instantly. So as soon as I click the refresh button, you can see that using is now done. And as soon as I jump over into my tasks dashboard, this is where all of my documents are going to be popping up for me. The documents will be automatically allocated into each company for me automatically. And I can set up shortcut buttons to raise purchase requisitions, import my purchase information from Sage, X3, or Intact. I can track late documents and blocked documents, setting up rules. I also have an in-progress section to track where my documents are at each step, and I have my completed section. This is my favorite section because when the documents pop up as complete, that means that they've passed through different protections and Yooz. We have a built-in duplicate protection. We also have a fraud protection in Yooz, and Yooz is going to cross-reference all of your master data elements that are synced within Sage to track to see if there's any anomaly, any discrepancy within your supplier information or bank details. In any case, if there is a detection alerted in Yooz, you'll see that alert popping up for you at the top of each document. So it really can save you and your team tons of time tracking these alerts at the source. Now, here in my London company, as we just brought in a supplier invoice that's PO based, I can see that Yooz is already taking care of this automatic matching process for me. It's done this at a 100% level. So I can just click into this example. This is a PO-based example based on some tools that I had ordered for my company for some maintenance. And on the left-hand side, I can actually click into these properties where Yooz is going to highlight where on the document this information was picked up, so I can double check. I also have an invoice status section where I can click in to see how Yooz did this automatic matching for me. I can see based on an automatic search that Yooz found the PO that was open in my system, it matched it for me. And if I need to, I can maybe match one item or maybe a couple different items with a click of the button. But because Yooz already did this automatic matching for me, I can go back onto this invoice. Of course, I have any linked documents that are associated. I have a budget tracker in case at any step of the way I need to see the initial amounts, committed amounts, or percentages reached on this document. And of course, I have the entries. With this unit, it's connected to Sage Intacct, but you can actually connect to any version of Sage. Now, once I've verified this information, I can actually hover over all of the fields thanks to this smart data extraction, picking up every single bit of information on this invoice. I can now submit this on into the next step of my workflow, and it'll be sent off if I have different approval steps that are set up. This is happening in real time, so I can leave a comment for that user, okay for approval, for example, and now it's going to be sent off to this next user, and no matter where they are, they can connect even to the mobile app, something that's free to all of our users. Now, this was a PO-based example. Let's now take a look at a non-PO-based example quite quickly here. On the left side, I can filter this information. So I can log into maybe one of my units or check a specific document type from a specific vendor from a date range. Now, once I've filtered, I can now log in and see, okay, this morning I'm logging in. I can see a total of 8 documents that have been sent automatically by Yooz to this entity. And 6 out of 8 have been completed for me by the Yooz system. So I can click into this completed section. Of course, this is a non-mandatory review step that I've set up in my workflow so I can review each document. The first way is that I can just check line by line to verify the amounts, the suppliers. I can see the type of document and the unit. And in this first step, I can just simply click on these documents in a batch, and in a single click, I can process them automatically. But if your team needs to go in and check these details, we have this preview panel popping up. So I can click into this preview section. I love this area because here in Yooz on the left-hand side, you can see the long list of documents that you and your team are currently working on. And on the right-hand side, I can actually zoom in to visually check on this document. This is eliminating the need for paper, but I can actually feel like I have that physical document in front of me. I can hover over all of these fields, zoom in and out, and double check. So I can see, for example, Yooz picked up all of my fields for me automatically, and I can see that all of these amounts are correct, even that VAT amount. Once reviewed in this step, I can now click individually on that document, or I can select them all in a batch and process them automatically by clicking on Submit. These 6 documents are now going to go into that using process and be sent on into my in progress section. This is happening live, so one by one, these documents are going to be popping into that in progress section in just a moment. Let's take it one example today in our demonstration where we have an exception. So this document was almost fully completed by Yooz. You can see this alert popping up for me at the top, and I can see that there's a mandatory field that's not been filled in. This is because this is the very first time that I'm receiving a document from this particular supplier. So Yooz needs me to verify this information just the very first time. And then I have the option with this deep learning for Yooz to memorize this process. Now, what I can do is I can take advantage of another exclusive technology we have in Yooz called the click and recognition technology. So anywhere that uses extracted information on this document, I can actually click and this information will be populated for me. Not only that, my lines are being filled in. I can see the balance at the bottom is being calculated. And on the left, I can actually customize this document. So I can add in a new line, make a duplicate, or delete a line if needed. And I can actually go in and pick up a whole column of information at once. I can even hover over two amounts at once, and Yooz will calculate that for me. I can also change descriptions, so I can click in and actually click on words, an individual line, a sentence, or even a paragraph to save my team tons of time in the end. I can also add in additional elements. So I can add in an attachment, I can add in a video, an audio file, or an image. And let's say I had damaged goods. I had taken a photo on these supplies. This is for auto parts for my maintenance. I can see all of my attachments popping up as a dynamic folder attached to be sent into Sage with this invoice. I can also block this document if needed. I can leave a description, link a document to another in Yooz, add a comment if needed. And this is great because, like in social media, I can actually even just tag in and maybe add in my supervisor. I can let them know that I had damaged goods, and Yooz is going to automatically keep for me a date and a timestamp on this comment and how many comments have been left. I can delete a document if needed or check into this audit trail. This is something that's really appreciated by all users, as you can click in and you can see that Yooz is automatically keeping track and tracing every action, every modification. I can even see this linked file coming in and the full timeline of this information coming back. I can then go back and let's see a couple other options in Yooz. Because this is an all-in-one solution, I can also send emails out directly to my suppliers. As we know how much time is spent sending out emails, I can even see that automatic detection of that attached document. So I'll send this off directly to my supplier before submitting it on into the next step. Now, because this is the first time I'm receiving a document, Yooz will prompt to ask me, do you want Yooz to learn this data for the next documents? I have the option to click on no, but if I want to, I can save my team tons of time. And in the future, the next time I receive a document from this particular supplier, Yooz will automatically memorize that information, my dimensions, department, cost code, and split that's taking place. I can now see in this in progress section, my top approver is now waiting to approve these documents. So let's now log in to impersonate that approver. I can see that she's popping up for me here. I can just log in and see now automatically she has her own interface set up. She has delegations and specific areas that she can log into. And I can see this first example that we processed together. This was our PO-based example. I can now log in, click into this example, double check this information. As we saw, there's tons of different actions that this approver can take before approving this document on into the next step. And if I go back, I also had that second document that we flagged together. This one was popping up for us in red. This was our non-PO based example. So let's click in as this approver into our Oxford unit. We see this second example that we can now track this. We have the attachment that's been sent in. We can see the comment that's been left. So we can actually send this document back if needed to that previous user. Of course, we can leave a comment if necessary. Now that we've gone through the full process, let's go back onto our My Task dashboard. We can now see popping up for us the document that's going to be popping back for us. It's going to be in the mode that's been sent back, so it needs double review, for example. But we can also click into our export section. So we can see in live in our Sage X3 export, popping up for us is this document ready to be exported. We can click into this. And of course, you can set this up to be done instantly in real time at any frequency that you need, whether it be every hour, every 4 hours, once a day, or at a specific time. Once these exports are done, you can then create customizable reports and you can track everything in the statistics section. So you can see the number of documents in progress. You can track over the course of time your volume of documents. You can change this around so you can really send this out in your weekly meetings. You can really keep track of this to motivate your team and to automate even further. You also have a search bar where you can create dynamic searches based on a long list of different criteria that you can mix and match. Or, for example, you can build dynamic searches, for example, on POs waiting to be received, open POs, and so forth. So let's see maybe our open POs. You can then click on the sum functionality to see, for example, the total amount, the amount that needs to be paid, or build a customizable report. You can say, okay, open POs, for example, PO report, let's say. And you can click on 5 different models built in Yooz. Let's say you want to build a customizable report in Excel. Within one click, you can now see it popping up for you. It's going to be downloaded onto your device. You can double click to open it up, and instantly, just like that in Excel, you can see everything popping up. As soon as you have that double protection to make sure that you're logged into that Yooz solution, you can see that this customizable report is now popping up for you, where you and your team can save tons of time, and you can track all of this information. For example, your organizational units and number per unit, total spent per unit. You can also customize these reports by clicking into them, adding in, for example, additional information, and customizing them to this design that you like. That now takes us to the very end of today's demonstration. So we're really excited to go back and now go into a live Q&A session. So Jeremy, I'll now pop it back over to you. I know that the audience maybe had some questions. I'll turn my camera back on so we can answer those questions for everyone.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chelsea. And that's really very informative, and appreciate the detail. We have got a question from somebody. So that's basically, can you explain further on how AP automation software is able to collect the data from my invoices without me needing to manually tell it what is what?
It's a really common question. Yeah, no, a lot of companies are quite confused by how this technology works. So a lot of tools have somewhat of a basic OCR engine already incorporated into the solution. This is basically scanning the document, determining where on that document there's any light areas. That's going to be determined as the background. Where there's any darker areas, that'll be picked up as symbols, numbers, or letters, and it'll be populated. But that's about as far as a basic OCR can go. Now, in Yooz, we have artificial intelligence algorithms that are treating this document intelligently. So it'll pick up that information from the OCR and be able to determine where all of these fields are, no matter, even if your supplier is changing that information every day. It's not templates based. It'll pick up those fields, and then based on the rules that you can create in Yooz, Yooz will then determine where that document needs to be sent off in. This is taking place automatically, and you can actually customize these workflows. So on each type of document, each organizational unit, each scenario that pops up in the day-to-day, you can then set up thresholds and alerts for these documents to then be sent off to automatically. So it's really getting those extra layers of artificial neural networks, really acting similar to that of a human brain, to take it that step further to allow for that automation to take place. Really good question.
Thanks, Chelsea. I think we're probably pretty close to time now. Do you want to just put up that last slide? Because I think the next question I can probably answer with the slide that we've got as the last slide, which is really for me to kind of bring this to a close and kind of let everyone know what the next steps might be, because the final question is really around, let me just get it. How can I start my Yooz AP automation project with X3 Consulting? So in very simple terms, I'm the go-to person. You can see my details on the screen. I know most of the people that are on this live webinar anyway, but please reach out to me. We'll probably do a demonstration similar to this, but more personalized to you that are wanting to take this a step further, and then work out maybe the cost of the solution, which is dependent on how many documents you think annually or /monthly you might be wanting to bring into the system. So that is the next step. I'm very happy to take that on email or contact me any other way you see fit to bring that to a date that we can organize for you. That's what we do next. So really, with the time that we've got left, which is no time, but other than to thank Chelsea for a fantastic 30 minutes webinar, which has really covered all the areas that we wanted to cover. Thank you for that, Chelsea, and look forward to talking to people in due course. Thank you, everyone.